Hello and welcome. You're watching India Today, India Tomorrow, the program that interviews families across generations, giving you a chance to peek into their lives, hear their stories and share in their magic. And today I have two truly special people. The man with the golden voice, Nitin Mukesh, and his son who can truly make the Greek gods jealous, Nitin Mukesh. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Nitinji, I'm going to start this episode in a very unusual way. You've made a career singing your father's memorable and haunting songs, and I know you love doing it. So begin by singing for me your favorite Mukesh song.
To begin with, it's such a difficult choice that I have to make because all his songs were my favorites. But a song that describes him best is what I will sing for you today and all the wonderful friends who are watching us talk. This song is from the film Anadi, and like I said, it describes Papa best. That's the man he was. That's how he was in real life. किसी की मुस्कुराहटों पे हो निसार, किसी का दर्द मिल सके तो ले उधार, किसी के वास्ते हो तेरे दिल में प्यार, जीना इसी का नाम है, किसी की मुस्कुराहटों पे हो निसार, किसी का दर्द मिल सके तो ले उधार, किसी के वास्ते हो तेरे दिल में प्यार, जीना इसी का नाम है.
You know, I could see your son tapping to the music as you were singing. Clearly, there is a real relationship between you. But the funny thing is, when you were asked in an interview who's your favorite singer, you didn't name your grandfather, you didn't name your father, you named Kishore Kumar.
I did.
Yes.
Were you teasing, Daddy, or did you mean it?
No,
I'm a very, very big
You know
Kishore
what?
fan.
We are all Kishore Das fans.
Yeah.
I'm personally Rafi Saab's fan also, but I listen only to Lataji all the time. All the time. I mean, sometimes my wife asks me that why wouldn't you want to listen to Papa songs? That has, of course, a reason. Every time I hear him, for a while I hear him and then I become sad. So I miss him. And
understandably. But tell me about Kishore Kumar. What is it about Kishore Kumar that is better than your grandfather or your daddy?
When we were growing up, we obviously had so much music all around us all the time. And my grandmother introduced me to my grandfather. So I've grown up with all his melodious songs. But I used to watch a lot of films with my grandmother. And there was something about Kishore Da that just stayed back with me. Because I found him such a fascinating artist. He was an actor and a singer.
Versatile.
So versatile he was. So his range was extremely, I don't know, I don't have the right word for him because versatile is just not the correct word for him.
No,
It's wonderful.
He was a genius.
It's wonderful to hear you talk about Kishore Kumar, but actually, in this part, I want to talk about your legendary father, Mukesh. I gather his career began by a pure stroke of good luck. He was singing at a wedding in Bombay when the legendary actor
In Delhi.
Delhi, and the legendary actor Motilal heard him. He invited him to Bombay and made him sing for his film Pehle.
Let me elucidate on this a bit more. He was singing for his own elder sister's wedding, and in the barat, Motilal ji was coming as a barati. So all of 16, he was pushed by his family members. अरे मोतीलाल जी आए हैं तेरी बहन की बारात में, उन्हें गाना सुना, and so he was pushed in front. He was a shy, very unassuming person, but a big, huge fan of Sehgal Saab. And so he sang, Kundan Lal sang Sehgal Saab's song, and Motilal ji literally just saw him, picked him up and said, "What are you doing here?"
Took him to Bombay, and Pehle Nazar he sang in.
He sang Pehli Nazar for Motilal ji, and Motilal ji gave him, he took him home and said, I'll give you food, shelter and clothes and training. I'll get you a Guruji. but never asked me for money. Just do your hard work, just go struggle, go out there and make your own life.
In fact, that's the incredible thing, because when your father was taken to Bombay by Motilal, he wasn't really trained as a musician. And at the time, in Bombay, when he began, he was virtually penniless. So what followed was a true rags to riches story.
Absolutely. I don't know how rich, but yes, rich as in I have yet to see a man leaving behind such a legacy of goodwill.
Absolutely.
So that was his wealth.
Sadly, you never knew your grandfather. He died before you were born, but I gather that as a child you would play with his harmonium and his walking stick.
Well, not just his harmonium and walking stick. Like I said earlier, that my grandmother and I had a very close bond. So she bridged that gap beautifully. She told me so many stories of my grandfather's. Papa has told me so many stories of his, that I never felt that I never met him. Unfortunately, yes, I never met him.
But he was always there as a presence, because everyone talked about him.
Then what happened was, when I turned 5, I used to see all these filmfare trophies, you know, in my grandmother's hall, and I would be very curious, because I was not a very good student, and I was always wondering who has won so many trophies at home. So that's when my grandmother introduced me to my grandfather, and she said that he won it for singing. So I got extremely curious. So in a way, I give I give all the credit to my grandmother to make sure, you know, for what followed after that. She showed me all Raj Uncle's films, and she would constantly tell me that, see, that's Raj Uncle acting,
but the voice
is your grandfather. So she bridged that gap. And then what happened?
But there's another bridge as well, which the world doesn't know about. Your grandfather wanted to be an actor. He instead became a great playback singer and the voice of Raj Kapoor. Yeah. But the acting ambition has been fulfilled by his grandson.
So in a way, yes, I said this when I won my first award, that I am living his dream. So I think in a way,
you're living two people's dreams, because I can clearly see you're living Daddy's dream as well.
Absolutely.
He's a doting father.
But my grandmother had to be bribed, and I had to bribe her about the fact that if you want me to stay with her,
she had to bribe you.
She had to bribe me, literally. I had to tell her that if you want me to stay with you, then you have to give me one thing from my grandfather's
Every day he would whack
every day one thing of his. So now,
so you have a collection now.
Now I don't have just the walking stick and the harmonium. I have
all
a wardrobe
watches
filled with his things.
In fact, you know, we know your father as a legendary singer, but the truth is, he was a devoted and loving father, and much of the affection I saw a moment ago when you touched Neil's chin was probably what your father did to you. There's a lovely story. When you first went to college, you wanted a car, you spoke to your mother, she spoke to your father. The car happened, but there's a very touching story behind it.
Very touching story, which I cannot not say it now. I was very upset, and I said, Mom, all my friends, and they roam around flashing their cars, and they have girlfriends, and they drive them around. I have to stand in the queue at a bus stop or go by a taxi. So my father was delighted. He said, "Arey, pehle kyun nahi bataya? Usko gaadi chahiye to bilkul, here's the key." He gave me the key. My mother, being innocent as she was, didn't realize what would happen, what would follow. One day I was driving literally out of the house and passed by the bus stop, and I saw Papa standing there. I took an about turn, and it hit me so hard. I asked him, I came home and I wept. I told my mom that this is so embarrassing. I'm moving around in a car, and she says, that's no big deal. If it wasn't me, you'd be at the bus stop, son. It doesn't make a matter.
He was a truly great man. His son wanted a car. He gave his own and said, I'll go by bus, even if my son thinks he's too important to go by bus.
No, not only that, to make me happy. It didn't matter to him. And he didn't know how great he was. We had to keep reminding him, and he would show his single finger to me. Don't you ever do that. I don't want to know.
In fact, he had a wonderful way of teaching you lessons. There's another story that I'm going to ask you about. He came back from a trip to America with a carton of State Express cigarettes and a lighter, but it wasn't a gift. It was a very clever way of teaching you a lesson.
Absolutely. in college, you know, you smoke and do things behind your parents'
Chupke,
backs.
chupke, chori, chori.
Chori, chori. And then you come back eating a chewing gum or elaichi or something, and then
We all have been kids and think, Daddy'll never know.
Dad will never know.
But I've
But
never
my
lied
dad, he never lied to me because I never lied to my father. So then he would stand there and he would just sniff. So means he told me that he knows. And one day he told me, "Ke, beta, I've got you this." And I said, "Why? What? Why would you want to get me cigarettes?" He says, "Look, I know you smoke. Don't let the world tell me that you smoke. But smoking isn't the best thing for you. If you want to become a singer, smoking is no good for you."
But what a wonderful story. Instead of tokuing you, as
Or-
many parents would have done,
I would
he actually
throw a fit and start
he found a
hitting.
clever way of embarrassing you through generosity and thoughtfulness.
Absolutely.
You know,
That's how it
when I was talking to your father to prepare for today's interview, he let me into a little secret. He said, Neil has a lovely voice, he loves singing, and he often sings with me. So I'm going to ask you,
Well,
pick a song that you like that Daddy can join in.
Well, we do sing behind closed doors for sure.
The rest of us sing in bathrooms.
The reverb is really nice there.
He has a very melodious voice. He is so much of Papa. While you were talking of his connection with my father, do you know, sometimes I go to his bedroom just to see him sleep, because he sleeps in the same position the way my father used to sleep. Sometimes I'm in my bedroom and he sneezes out of the blue. And when he sneezes, I get alarmed because that's exactly the way my father used to sneeze. He says, "Dad, how do you remember?" I said, "He was my father and you are my beloved
This is what
son."
they call the magic of genes.
Magic of
G-E-N-E-S.
G-E-N-E-S.
You were going to sing for me.
Together.
Yeah.
Which one?
Let's sing एक दिन बिक जाए. एक दिन बिक जाएगा माटी के मोल, जग में रह जाएंगे प्यारे तेरे बोल. एक दिन बिक जाएगा माटी के मोल, जग में रह जाएंगे प्यारे तेरे बोल. दूजे के होठों को देकर अपने गीत, कोई निशानी छोड़ फिर दुनिया से डोल. एक दिन बिक जाएगा माटी के मोल, जग में रह जाएंगे प्यारे तेरे बोल. ला 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 ला.
Truly, truly magical.
And truly
magical.
unrehearsed, but he knows that I do. I sing it this way.
You know something?
knows.
There's another couple of stories about your father, Nitinji, that I want to touch on before I take a break, because I think they're truly remarkable. I gather your parents eloped. And the Kanyadan was done by the legendary
Motilal ji.
Motilal.
Yes, yes, it's so true.
I wish I could do that.
That's the only place my mother used to say.
Did you hear what your son said?
I've always dreamt to have a wedding like my grandfather, and then he goes and gets me arranged.
Absolutely.
He's just
so
got
he
engaged.
said, I know all of
So
10
I'm
days
going
ago.
to make sure that Rukmini and I just run away and get married.
Now do that. Now you have our permission to. I would always preempt his elopement.
But you know, it's not just that your
efforts.
father eloped. There's another lovely story
They
about him.
are, I mean, totally poles apart. I mean, you know, in those days, in the early 40s, my mother was a Shrimali Brahman, Gujarati, and Papa is a Mathur Kayast from Delhi. Totally non-vegetarian, alcohol, and she wouldn't eat onions or garlic or potatoes or peas, anything sown under the ground.
This is a case of polar opposites attracting each other.
And she was not musical. She loved listening, but for her, the world was, her universe was Mukesh. So she heard only Mukesh. After him, she was kind enough to hear my songs.
But there's another lovely story about your father. I gather he also hated special privileges. Whenever he would travel, the organizers would put him up in the plushest of five-star hotels. But the musicians that accompanied him would be sent to less expensive hotels. And he didn't like that. He would always stay with them.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you know so much about Papa. He would, yeah, and I would feel so upset because I would be accompanying
You
him,
wanted to
and
be in
I
the
wanted
five-star
to-
hotel.
I wanted to be in the five-star hotel. And I would say, Papa, please, why can't we stay there? They're putting us up there. He says, Bete, तुम्हें रहना है, तुम जाओ वहाँ पे. I want to stay with my boys. They are my children too. I realize these things now, and I try to imbibe them. I try to do the same thing in my life. But yes, I copy him. He was an original. He was an original. He always, and he would then explain to me so lovingly, you know, beta, putting all of them in a five-star will cost the promoter so much. So instead, why not we go to their hotel?
The
That way
truth
we-
is, great men are made by little simple virtues.
Absolutely.
Let's take a break at that point. We've been talking about your father up to now. When I come back after the break, I want to talk about the two of you. We'll be back in a moment's time. Stick with us. Welcome back. You're watching India Today, India Tomorrow, and I have two incredible guests, the legendary Nitin Mukesh and his actor son, who, by the way, is a great singer too, Neil Nitin Mukesh. In part one, we chatted about your father and grandfather. Let's now talk about you. Nitinji, although you began singing on concert tours with your father, I gather it was Lata Mangeshkar who arranged for you to first sing solo internationally, and it was in Montreal. Is that right?
Yes, partly. Actually, we were on tour. Lataji and Papa were touring the US, and I was just accompanying Dad. And somewhere he was not too well in Montreal. So Didi very affectionately asked me to chip in for him, and wonder of wonders, Papa was so thrilled. I mean, it's a dream for any parent to see.
But were you
hear.
nervous?
Would you believe this? I wasn't nervous at all. Papa was. He was so nervous. All the pictures and all that. And there's a beautiful story that after I sang a couple of songs, he was playing on the harmonium. And Lataji and I sang the duets because she said, Mukesh bhaiya, aaj tabiyat theek nahi hai, to aaj Nitin se gawati hu main. And then she said, ke Nitin, ek aad Mukesh bhaiya ka solo bhi ga. So he went in, and I just turned to look into the wings, and he was sobbing like a baby. He was
Hearing
so
his
thrilled.
son sing, and was joyful that you were
And
singing beautifully.
and to see his son sing with Lataji.
In
I
fact,
mean,
no one has sung more with Lataji on concerts than you.
absolutely.
I imagine
Not
that
even
there-
Papa.
I imagine there's a real bond between the two of you.
She is, other than being Ma Saraswati, Sakshat Saraswati, she is my sweetest heart. I mean, I wonder whether I love anybody as much as I do Lataji. I really adore her.
And Neil, there is a very strong connection between you and Lata Mangeshkar too, because I gather the lady who named you is
Yes,
none other than Lata
I
Mangeshkar.
knew that you're going to get there. And yes, I was really kind.
I contemplated calling him Nikhil, or we wanted to be N's because his mother is Nishi, I'm Nitin, and his sister is Neha. So I said, iska naam to na se hi rakhenge. And Lata Didi came to the function, and Bhua naam rakhti, so I call her Didi, so Papa used to call her Didi. So in any case, I was sure that I want her to be named, her to name my son. So I said, इसका नाम दीदी निखिल सोच रहे हैं या one or two N. She says,
नील भी था मगर
She-
NEEL था.
She said, ये तो एकदम अंग्रेज का बच्चा लगता है, इसका तो मैं नाम नील आर्मस्ट्रॉन्ग, नील डायमंड, इन सब के बाद इसका नाम नील रखेंगे.
So
And that's how NEIL came.
Absolutely. So you got a Western name,
Yes.
but it fits in with the tradition, and it's a gift from Lata Mangeshkar.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
It is, and I've only heard
Biggest
stories. Then, when of course I've met her so many times myself,
Blessing.
so I've always told her thank you so much. That 34 years later, also my name sounds so cool. I'm so glad that the name is Neil and no other name, because I think Neil is short and sweet. Yeah.
Did you ever, being your father's son, seriously consider a playback singer's profession for yourself? Or were you always more inclined to be a concert singer at live occasions?
No, I always wanted to be a playback singer, but having said that, and I have sung God knows how many super duper hit songs for films, but the passion in live singing and stage singing is absolutely sublime. You interact with an audience, you see them going emotional, and in my case more so because Papa's not there, and people who loved him get to hear his songs through his son. So there's special emotional bond with me, and I enjoy singing on stage. So when I started out my life, which was very difficult in the beginning, Papa just
He died very suddenly.
Very suddenly, and nobody ever imagines that there'll be a day without your father. And for us, he was only 52, he was all of 52, and at the peak of his career.
And the entire burden of looking after the family fell on you.
That became so easy because people who loved him so much were there to support
But
me
do you know,
morally.
Nitinji, this sounds like a silly joke, but you literally sang for your supper.
I
And
sang
sang
for
so beautifully, you had a great supper.
Yes.
We're still having
Sure.
great suppers.
And that supper stayed.
Your first role that brought you really into fame was Johnny Qatar. It's a negative, dark role, but I gather you chose it deliberately.
I did. You know, when I started off my career, initially everyone was very skeptical of giving me a film. Everyone thought that Mukesh's grandson, Nitin Mukesh's son, needs to get into singing. And I always came back home very upset, saying that a doctor's son need not be a doctor. And in this case, creativity is going on. It does not need to be broken down into, segments.
But people had preconceived
They
ideas.
already had preconceived it so much. And then luckily at one event I met the late Jhamu Sugandji, who offered me to come and meet him to the office, and I went and I met him. And he handed me 2 films. And one was a love story and one was Johnny Gaddar. And I took both the scripts and I read them on a flight to Delhi. And my mother read Johnny Gaddar out first. I landed and I called him up and I said, I'm going to do Johnny Gaddar. And my mother was standing and she's saying, have you spoken to your father? He's not going to approve of this. He's not going to like this. I said, no, Mom, why will he not like it? So, no, you can't be killing 5 people. It doesn't go with the Mukesh family. I said, Mom,
Absolutely.
if I kill 5 people, trust me, I'll survive. So I needed to make sure that my first hit as in my stroke, is the right stroke, and people can gauge the potential that I have as an actor.
Your mother, I gather, and I'm sure this is true of your dad as well, wanted you to be a chocolate box romantic love story.
Always.
He
even now-
did. I was
even
so
now-
upset and I fumed and fretted. I said, Mukesh's grandson.
He didn't talk
doing
to me
and
for
killing.
6
I
months.
was very upset.
For 6 months.
6 months.
No,
Literally
no,
kutti
not
like that.
No, means
Not
he was
kutti, but I was very
every day
disappointed.
he would nag me on a table, and every
Is he a
day-
nag?
Not at all. he's one of the bestest people you will ever know.
But he can carry on and on
But
and on.
no, he's like a child. He's like a child. He sulks. If he doesn't get what he wants, he'll
Yeah.
sit and he'll sulk. So we have to pamper him. So I just didn't want to pamper him because somewhere I knew what I was doing was correct, and I wanted to prove myself right to him. And when Johnny Gaddar, unfortunately, it got stuck for a year and a half.
I was the happiest then. I
And
said,
he
good, let him
he
do
was so
something
happy.
else.
He made
yeah.
me get onto his production for his shows, and I had to pay EMIs for a car. So he was kind enough to give me a job for his shows. I did all of that with him.
But you were determined to go on with Johnny Gaddar
I
as well.
said that if Johnny Gaddar does not release, I will never make a debut as an actor. So I waited patiently because somewhere I had conviction. I had people tell me things like, throw the film in a dustbin, it's never going to release. And then, trust me, it released, and I'm here sitting with you and him today, doing this lovely interview only because of that one film, Johnny Gaddar.
But please ask him
And I owe
what
it-
his father said after
yeah.
he saw Johnny Gaddar.
So I was coming to that.
Was Daddy contrite?
Well, so he hadn't seen the film at all till the day it released. And the Friday night that it released, morning shows had already gone through, reviews were already coming in, people were already very excited, but he kept quiet, he was so nervous. And I took him for the night show, and he saw the film. In the interval, he came up to me, and he just started crying. And he held my hands, and he said, this is the day a father says sorry to his son, and says that he respects his judgment tremendously.
In fact, the honest truth
And I
is that
started
perhaps the
crying.
best thing Neil did was not to take your advice and to insist on doing it his way.
Yes.
Because he went on to a string of successes.
And then he could pursue his dream. I was somewhere, my possessiveness or my old-fashioned self was a hindrance. I realized the day I saw the film. I told him that today I have
And
great
being bad has
regard and
always been
respect.
good for me.
Let me
So-
tell you, being bad is good for most people.
All of us, yeah, most of us.
But you know,
Yeah.
you may have resisted your parents' advice about the sort of role you want to play, but actually in interviews you've said, my parents are the most important things in my life. And I gather that when you go on long outdoor shoots, you like to have them with you.
I love to take them along with me. I'll tell you why. How much ever my producer might feel, you know, okay, why is he getting his parents along? But I can't live without my family. And if it's a 3-month schedule, I'll make sure that they are with me. And I personally believe, let me complete this, sorry. But I personally believe that as they grow older, they become much younger at heart.
They become
And
your children.
and we have that responsibility towards them to take care of them. So if I have the capacity and the capability, and God has given me this chance to work hard and make them enjoy, why not?
Absolutely.
I think every son should try and do that.
But
I'm
your
not-
son once said an amazing thing about you. Again, in one of his interviews, he said, I idolize my father too much to be his friend.
Yeah.
My father is not my buddy. My father is my father, and I never want to change that.
That happened because I insisted it and I wanted it that way. Everyone would ask me, are you a friend with Neil? I said, I have millions of friends, but I have only 2 sons, and I want them to be sons. There has to be that line between a friend and a son. I respect him.
Absolutely. But when you were asked, you said, the one I really love is Mummy. And you described yourself as Mama's boy. Now, I have to
No,
tell you.
no.
No? Daddy's
He said,
getting jealous. Daddy's getting jealous.
You know what he said?
Daddy's getting
told you,
jealous.
You know what he said? You know what he said? They asked him, are you Mama's boy? So he says, he thinks, and then he says, well, actually I'm Papa's boy. How boring, na? And then he's asking the interviewer, how boring, na?
But you know something? Mama's boys
Can
are
I-
usually spoiled brats. Are you a
I'll
spoiled
tell you
brat?
something. I'm actually Papa's boy because my father spoils me rotten, but my mother is my anchor.
Yeah.
She is my strength completely. I have to come across a woman as strong as her, emotionally so stable, and she has balanced this family so beautifully. We are 3 boys, my sister's married. We are 3 boys in the house. My younger brother, my father, me. We are 3 of us. And she's the only lady, and she manages the entire house so beautifully.
Neil, that could be about to change. 10 days ago, you got engaged. I'm going to quote to you what you often...
Rukmini will have to really learn a lot to match up to my mother. Trust me.
I sort of suspect that 5 years down the road, Rukmini will have you twisted around her little finger.
I'm already twisted
There
around
you
the finger. I already am. You know, contrary to the kind of roles that I play and portray on screen, I'm a die-hard romantic in
that
nature.
he is.
And have you been swept off your...
Carries his heart on his
and
sleeve.
yes, of course I am. I mean, that's the reason why I have said yes.
You know, I ask you, Because not so long ago, this is what you said of yourself. I'm very, very single, two veries at the
I'm
moment.
very happy.
And honestly enjoying it. So that's over.
I was, you know, to be very honest, I was making myself a really nice bachelor home, which just got completed. And the day it got completed, he got me engaged. So there goes the bachelor home.
You know, Nitinji, this calls for a special song from the two of you. After all, your son's getting engaged, you're going to have a daughter, and he's going to have a new anchor in his life. We have to have a song.
I think the most beautiful song that you can sing, Dad, right now would be my most favorite song of Dadun's, Kabhi Kabhi. Since we are talking about
Let's sing it together.
It's, I think, one of the most romantic songs.
Let's sing it together. Let me start.
This is for Mom from him and Rukmini from me.
Okay.
And all you lovely ladies
Wonderful.
watching the show.
And what about the gents?
Okay. Okay. कभी कभी मेरे दिल में ख्याल आता है, कभी कभी मेरे दिल में ख्याल आता है कि जैसे तुझको बनाया गया है मेरे लिए, कि अब से पहले सितारों में बस रही थी कहीं, तू अब से पहले सितारों में बस रही थी कहीं, तुझे ज़मीं पे बुलाया गया है मेरे लिए, तुझे ज़मीं पे बुलाया गया है मेरे लिए, कभी कभी मेरे दिल में ख्याल आता है.
Wonderful, truly wonderful. We're going to take a
love
break
this
at that
song.
point, and when we come back, we're going to talk about music and acting. See you in a moment's time after the break. Welcome back. You're watching India Today, India Tomorrow, and I have two very special guests, Nitin Mukesh and his incredible son, Neil Nitin Mukesh. Let's talk about acting and music. Nitinji, what makes a beautiful song? Is it the melody, is it the lyrics, or is it the singer's voice?
Tough question to answer. But truly speaking, it is the sangam of all three. It's the amalgamation of all three. Fancy a song which is not well written, and you have Lata Mangeshkar or Mukesh ji or Rafi Sahab singing that song. It's a waste. It's a total waste. Or fancy one of those rare Lata ji numbers without Lata ji.
And it's again a waste.
Total waste.
In which case, I'm going to ask you to do me a particular favor. There's a particular song that is magical, the Swahili Malaika. I know you know it. I know you enjoy singing it.
And
you have
I
the
sang
voice
it with
for
Lata
it.
ji for the first time.
Then
Would
will
you
you
believe
sing it for me today?
Absolutely. Malaika, nakupenda malaika. Malaika, nakupenda malaika, nami nifanyeje kijana mwanzio, nasindwa na mali sinawe, ingekuoa malaika, nasindwa na mali sinawe, ingekuoa malaika.
It's incredible. As your father was singing, instinctively you began tapping and doing this, and your father's head was nodding. Is it the melody that's so captivating? Is that what music does?
You know,
See,
I
melody,
personally have grown up with musicians at home all the time. I in fact play the keyboards, I compose, and rhythm is
In you.
in me. Yeah.
So instinctively when daddy sings, you start doing
it
this.
just happens. I can't stop. For that matter, anybody, if anyone sings in sur, then
And if they don't,
not
then
in
you
sur,
grow.
then I'm like, then I just run.
Now, you've made your mark not just with Johnny Gadar, but with a whole string of what people call dark negative roles. And to be honest, they aren't easy to do. Sometimes they're the most difficult. How do you approach them?
Again, a very difficult question. For me, I pick each character and try and understand his psychology. I think for me as an actor, it's very important to understand why a man has that side of him. Because I'm not that in person, I love exploring that on screen. So it just gets me closer to a certain sense of human nature and their complexes. Each one has to be very different, portrayed as an actor on screen, so that you don't get bored seeing the same thing repeated by the same actor.
Now, you talked, Nitinji, a little earlier in this interview about the joys of live performances relating with the audience. How does live performance singing, which you excel in, differ from playback singing? What, in the sense of the challenge for the singer?
See, a playback singing, a playback singer can do retakes, can sing to his perfection over time. I mean, he can, you know, if he doesn't like a particular line, he can, the music director.
And today technology has really
yes,
improved.
Technology, they can make
Auto-tune.
Besura, auto-tuning, Besura into Sur, just by doing something technologically. Hamare time pe वैसा होता है नहीं.
Those are all the advantages a playback singer has.
Today,
A playback singer has today, and not in my time, not even, never in Papa's time.
But when you're live on a
But
theatre,
that's the
there's
one
one
time, you
take
get just
only.
one take, you get one chance, and you have to put in your best. Not that you don't do it in the recording room, but
Also you must
in
tell
recording
them-
rooms you have the comfort of knowing that it can always be, you know, you can cut
but
it
I
and do
must
it
also
again.
say that in his live shows, he never has sung on a -1 or a +1.
Never.
He has his live musicians.
Yes.
He has, and he sings live.
I sing
I've seen
for
so many artists
You
who
must tell them how long I sing. And I
5,
can
6
sing.
hours non-stop.
Stop.
and you don't
Standing.
get tired
Nope.
at all.
Standing
He
with
stands-
all of these
Yeah. And he dances.
200 kilos.
And he dances.
Oh,
And he
on stage
dances.
I'm different
Yeah.
totally. I can do it. I can.
He's a man
Sometimes I
possessed.
land up. I guess I'm
He's a man possessed
on
when he's on stage.
I'm a different guy
It's,
all
you know, he
altogether.
creates an aura for himself.
I
It's
can-
like his circle.
At the
he-
end of 50 songs, 50 songs, my teammates say, Saab, can you take a 5-minute break, please?
This is, I take it, the performer in you that comes out.
Yes.
That is something God has given you, and therefore you're almost like an actor on a stage who becomes a different person.
Absolutely.
He's also a
yes.
fabulous actor. Trust me. You want him to mimic?
Go on, yes, I
I'm
do.
not.
I want you
I'm
to
not
mimic.
going to.
Outstanding
I'm not going to.
mimic.
Good.
No,
Who
no,
should
no.
he mimic?
No,
There
no,
are
no,
many
no.
people
I'm
that-
not going
Go on,
to do.
Nitinji. Mimic
I'm
someone.
not-
Go on. Go on. Go on.
So if
Don't be
the
shy.
little bit of the actor in me is there, and I'm a great mimic too, not as good as him. He is fabulous.
No, I'm not going to. We'll do it on some other
You're not
show.
becoming shy, are
No,
you?
no.
You're not becoming shy.
No, but I'm
Oh,
not
he's blushing
going to
already there.
I'm not going to
Then-
mimic
okay.
because
He's a singer, you're an actor. You threw the googly, but you said you're a great mimic as well. So I will put that to you. Go on. Mimic someone for me.
Give me a line.
Oh God, मेरे पास माँ है.
Okay. So I did this for my first film, so I want to do it today again. This is, you tell me who this is, if you have seen Hindi films, and I hope you do. I hope I do it correct for you. बेटे मेरे पास माँ है.
you know who is this?
This is Sanjeev Kumar.
This is Sanjeev Kumar.
This is Sanjeev Kumar.
late great
the late
Sanjeev.
legendary Sanjeev
Legendary.
Kumar ji. But he needs to do one still.
See, your son's challenging you, Nitinji. Your son's challenging you.
You made
Go
me
on.
sing.
No, you know
Go
what I'm
on.
worried about, that I don't want to be sounding.
Mimic me. Mimic me. Go on. Mimic me. There's no one who'll get
Trust me,
upset
you
about
can do
that.
it.
Mimic me. Go on.
Why don't I mimic Neil?
Go on.
I don't know. Neil. You look into the mirror when he's out. I say, why must you make that face, Neil? Dad,
He
you
always
don't
wants
know.
me to have a
Dad.
smile on my face.
Then he'll twitch his muscles and show, Dad, see this. I said, yeah, Neil, but there's a little paunch coming out. So then he'll come and grab my stomach. But it's not this, Dad.
Nanil,
very, very
you've
naughty.
also begun acting in Tamil films, which is quite
That's
unusual
right,
for a
yes.
Bollywood star.
Yes.
What made you do it?
Well, I came to a point of my career where I felt that nothing was very challenging. So I was getting bored.
So you created a challenge.
So I created a challenge because I need, and I'm so glad that God gave me that challenge at the right time, because I love my profession, I love my job, but I never want to get bored of it.
But can you speak Tamil?
I learnt my script. I won't be able to recite, like be able to fluently
But you
speak.
learnt the
I
script?
did learn my script. I dubbed for my film and I won my awards for myself, because it was the first time an Indian actor, I mean from Bollywood, has gone and won the awards for his debut performance in a Tamil film.
But you actually had to teach yourself to speak those
Yes,
lines without
so
knowing the language.
I was shooting for Prem Ratan Dhanpayo, so I got myself a tutor who would come every day, and he translated all the lines in English. So we started learning. So that actually sharpened my axe very well. You know, it's not about how many trees you go cutting. This is something that I've read somewhere, and I've always used it for myself in my career. That sometimes take a break, sharpen your axe, go back in the forest, start cutting the tree. You might cut a more. You might be able to cut.
And
more
having
trees.
sharpened your axe, do you
With-
plan to cut more Tamil trees?
Yes, I will. Very soon you'll be hearing something extremely exciting.
It's absolutely incredible.
Because I think as an actor, language should not be a barrier. And that was the challenge, that go out there, express the lines that you don't know what they mean, and then go and perform it out, say the lines with the expressions, the pauses, the puns, etc. And then make sure that you're convincing enough as the performer on screen saying those lines.
And you won an award for it, which proves
Yes.
you were.
Mr. A.R. Murugadoss directed the film, and I can't be thrilled. It was one of the biggest blockbusters.
We've come, sadly, right to the end of this interview, but I want to ask you both to sing for me a number that everyone remembers when they think of your father.
Oh,
Jeena yahan, marna yahan.
Absolutely. But before
that defines all of
Karanji,
us.
I must tell all your wonderful viewers that it is a singular pleasure and an honor being on this
It
show with
is.
you.
Thank you very much.
For me,
Thank you.
we always saw you in, like you say, in our bedrooms and hall, living rooms, on TV. And you are larger than life. You are a true hero for us.
You are a
always
true
admire-
diplomat, sir, but at least I'm not a monster. Now, sing for me that wonderful song so that the audience
Don't,
will remember
don't blush.
Mukesh.
We are very thrilled to be here.
Thank you,
Father
thank
and
you.
son both. And we shall sing that beautiful number.
This song defines all artists.
कल खेल में हम हो न हो,
गर्दिश में तारे रहेंगे सदा, भूलोगे तुम भूलेंगे वो, पर हम तुम्हारे रहेंगे सदा। हाँ, रहेंगे यहीं अपने निशान, इसके सिवा जाना कहाँ, जीना यहाँ मरना यहाँ, इसके सिवा जाना कहाँ। जी चाहे जब हमको आवाज दो, हम हैं यहीं, हम थे जहाँ, अपने यहीं दोनों जहाँ, इसके सिवा जाना कहाँ। जीना यहाँ, मरना यहाँ, इसके सिवा जाना कहाँ।
That was truly, truly beautiful. Thank you very much indeed. And all I can say to the audience, after that, it will very definitely be a good night. Goodbye, and thank you for watching.
Thank you.